Dying Billionaire. Chapter 1. The pecans don't lie. It was supposed to be a regular Sunday dinner, mac and cheese bubbling in the stove, cicadas sawing through the humid Sweetwater air, but Jeremiah Brown slapped a fat envelope on the table like a domino and said, "Pass the cornbread, and while y'all at it, pass this little test." Marcus nearly choked on collard greens. Darnell quit scrolling his phone so fast it squeaked across the wood. Their baby sister Keisha just blinked, one braid slipping forward like a question mark. Nobody was used to Daddy pulling stunts. He was the steady oak in a storm. Yet tonight his eyes held that sly sparkle folks in town called brown lightning, the look he got right before a deal closed or a hog broke fence. Jeremiah leaned in, voice low and gravelly. "Doctor says I got 6 months, give or take. Now don't y'all start crying. I ain't dead yet. But time's short and I gotta know which one of my babies understands real wealth." He thumb-flipped the envelope open, fanned 3 stacks of crisp bills, 50 grand apiece, then slid them across the table like poker chips. "Take this money. You've got 1 season, 90-odd days till the pecan leaves turn. Bring me back something valuable, not shiny, valuable." Marcus whistled. "Pops, you for real?" Jeremiah grinned. "Son, if I wanted to joke, I'd tell your mama the Braves can pitch." Darnell's eyes already danced with Charger-red dreams. "You saying no rules?" "Just one," Jeremiah said. "When I call y'all home, be ready to show your harvest." Keisha traced the envelope edge, thinking of overdue rent notices she'd seen on neighbors' doors, of kids hustling chips for dinner near the church lot. The brothers didn't notice. They were too busy fist-bumping like they'd won Powerball. Outside, the porch light threw long gold across cracked clay. Jeremiah followed his kids to the driveway, cane tapping syncopated jazz. Cicadas hushed as if listening in. Marcus slid behind the wheel of his leased Escalade and hollered, "I'm about to flip this cash into something large, Pops. Might name a street after you." Jeremiah chuckled. "Make sure they spell Brown right." Darnell revved his busted sedan, bass thumping a song about making it rain. He shouted, "Miami, here I come," and peeled off, tires squealing louder than church ladies at revival. Keisha stayed behind, clutching her envelope like it might sprout wings. "Daddy," she said, "what if valuable don't look rich?" He laid a weathered hand on her shoulder. "Baby girl, the pecans don't lie. You water what matters, the tree'll tell on you." Lightning flickered far off over the fields, a silent drum roll. Keisha smelled the coming storm, earthy, electric, promising. She squared her shoulders, nodded once, and set off down the dark road toward Mr. Earl's feed store, thoughts already planting themselves like stubborn seeds. Jeremiah watched her go, heart knocking around his chest like loose change in a dryer. Maybe the doc was right, maybe the clock was running. Either way, Old Man Brown felt lighter than he had in years. Let the leaves turn. Let the truth shake loose like pecans in a hard wind. He was ready to see who'd been watering roots and who'd been polishing apples, none of them planted. Chapter 2. 3 children, 3 roads. Marcus hit Atlanta like a runaway drumline. The 50 grand melted faster than butter on cornbread. First a week-long penthouse rental overlooking Midtown, then a stack of neon sneakers for the brand, and finally a party so loud the neighbors filmed it for TikTok. He toasted himself with peach-sparkling champagne and told anyone who would listen, "I'm flipping vibes into equity, baby." But every Instagram reel cost rent and every new follower wanted freebies. By the 10th sunrise, the penthouse fridge held nothing but ketchup packets and regret. Darnell decided Miami was the move because, as he bragged, sunshine grows money. He leased a candy apple Charger, cranked Uncle Luke, and cruised South Beach looking like a discount music video. The cash rained at clubs soaked up by velvet ropes and strangers who called him Big D without knowing his last name. One morning he woke up on a couch that wasn't his, sunburned, with parking tickets fanned across the windshield like angry love letters. The Charger company pinged his phone. Payment overdue, GPS already snitching. While her brothers chased Spotlight, Keisha stepped into Mr. Earl's dusty feed store back in Sweetwater. The bell over the door clanged like it hadn't seen hope in years. Shelves sagged with seed packets nobody bought since the textile mill shut down. Mr. Earl, soft-spoken widower with bottle-thick glasses, lifted a brow. "You planting a garden or moving the whole county?" Keisha slid the envelope across the counter. "Both if I can swing it." She loaded up on tomato, okra, collard, and, for a little faith, sunflower seeds. Then she spotted an old irrigation pump marked half price. Her wallet whimpered, but her gut said yes. The abandoned lot by Ebenezer Baptist had once been a trash-strewn eyesore. Now spring sunlight painted the cracked asphalt gold. Keisha knelt, fingers pressing into stubborn Georgia clay, whispering a prayer her grandma taught her. "Lord, make dry bones dance and dry dirt bloom." Soon Jamal, a skinny 12-year-old who sold boiled peanuts after school, wandered over. "Ma'am, you paying folks to sweat or what?" Keisha laughed. "Pay is dinner and a story deal." Jamal shrugged. A deal was a deal. Word spread like sweet tea at a cookout. Miss Loretta tottered in with a walker, offering heirloom okra seeds, older than gossip. High schooler Tasha showed up just to escape her stepdad's yelling. She stayed because Keisha let her design neat raised beds. Even Caleb Johnson, Jeremiah's quiet farmhand with shoulders like a freight truck, drove by to drop off mulch. He handed Keisha a pair of work gloves, their fingers brushing. Heat climbed her cheeks. Heat had nothing on that Georgia sun. June storms rolled thick and rowdy. Lightning cracked pecan branches. Rain hammered Marcus's last party guests indoors and drowned Darnell's beach selfies in gray. Out at the garden, muddy water threatened to wash away the seedlings. Keisha, soaked to the bone, fought the torrent with Caleb and the kids, digging trenches with plastic dinner plates when shovels ran short. Jamal slipped, splashing red clay across her face. She cackled, looking like war paint. "We ain't losing today." When the clouds finally broke, the lot shimmered emerald. Rows of baby greens pushed through like tiny fists, saying, "Do your worst." Keisha's crew whooped under the rainbow, their laughter skipping across puddles. She glanced toward home, half expecting Jeremiah's porch light to wink approval across town. She couldn't see it, but she felt it in her chest, a pulse as steady as that old pecan tree. In Sweetwater, folks loved telling fables. Crows that stole fortunes, rivers that carried secrets. Now a fresh tale sprouted, one about a girl who planted hope where everybody else parked despair. And the season was just getting started. Chapter 3. Heat, hustle, and hot summer dropped on Sweetwater like a hot cast-iron lid. By 8 a.m., the air already shimmered. By noon, shoes felt like they might stick to the pavement. Marcus, broke and cranky, stalked the city for investors who suddenly had other priorities. His phone buzzed with overdraft alerts while sweat ruined his silk shirt. One shady crypto cousin tried to sell him a miracle coin. Marcus almost bit. Then the cousin's signal disappeared quicker than free samples at Costco. Down in Miami, Darnell's Charger got yanked by a tow truck the color of heartbreak. He begged the valet for mercy, but the man just pointed at the repo notice like it was scripture. Darnell shuffled back to a cheap motel where the AC wheezed louder than his pride. He stared at his last $20 bill, thinking maybe sunshine didn't grow money after all. Mostly sunburns and hangovers. Back in Sweetwater, Keisha's garden thrived until July turned petty. Weeks with no rain cracked the soil. Leaves drooped like tired shoulders. Cicadas screamed warnings from pecan branches. Keisha knelt in the dust, palms pressed flat, feeling the ground's thirst. Jamal showed up with a kiddie pool he'd found at the dump. Figured plants like swimming, too. They sliced it into makeshift buckets, hauling water from the church spigot. Evenings brought sudden tempers, thunderstorms that flashed, grumbled, then vanished like bad exes, leaving humidity thick enough to chew. One night, lightning popped the horizon purple and split a pecan limb near Jeremiah's porch. Old Man Brown sat inside, sipping ginger tea. The boom rattled windows and his ribcage alike. He glanced at an empty chair where his late wife used to knit, whispered, "Baby, our kids are out there, keep an eye." The next morning, Caleb rumbled up in his pickup, bed stacked with hay and 2 battered rain barrels. "Found these behind the county fairgrounds," he said, handing Keisha a fresh peach. Their fingers brushed again. This time, neither pretended it didn't spark. Tasha raised an eyebrow so high it almost left her face. Keisha waved her off, but her grin stuck around longer than the sunrise. They set the barrels near the fence. Caleb rigged gutters from scrap tin so every splash of afternoon thunder would funnel straight to thirsty roots. Kids held contests, betting which vine would reach the scarecrow first. Miss Loretta preached to the tomatoes, "Grow big, children, bigger than gossip." Laughter rippled through the rows, thick as perfume. Then came the grasshoppers, hundreds of green jumpy freeloaders munching on collards like a buffet. Keisha cursed under her breath, grabbed a spray bottle of garlic water, and led the crew in a full-scale bug bust. Jamal shouted, "Bug cops in the house!" Caleb cracked up, nearly falling into a cucumber patch. By sundown, the invaders retreated, leaving the garden smelling like an Italian grandma. But the fight wasn't free. That night, Keisha soaked her blistered hands in Epsom salts, blinking back tears. She wondered if her brothers were sleeping on silk sheets while she battled critters with pantry science. The thought pinched. Then she remembered the look on little Maya's face yesterday. Cheeks bulging with the first sweet cherry tomato she'd ever tasted. Pride flushed Keisha's chest warmer than any July sun. Across town, Marcus lay on a borrowed couch, scrolling feed after feed. Every other post seemed to feature Keisha's crazy garden. Neighbors filming rows of veggies glowing under string lights Caleb had strung from fence posts. Views climbed, laugh reacts piled up. Marcus tossed the phone like it bit him. Darnell, meanwhile, thumbed through gas station classifieds, eyes landing on a one-line story about Sweetwater's miracle garden. His stomach growled louder than his conscience. Late that night, rain finally surrendered. Clouds cracked open like a baptismal font, drenching Sweetwater in silver sheets. Keisha sprinted outside, arms wide, spinning until Caleb caught her by the waist to keep her from slipping. Water rivulets merged with her laugh. Thunder rolled applause. Somewhere in the downpour, Jeremiah Brown stepped onto his porch, lifted his face to heaven, and felt the cool drops kiss old skin. He smiled, thinking, "Looks like somebody's been watering the roots after all." Morning would bring new tests, weeds, bills, maybe even family drama riding in like a summer storm. But for now the garden drank deep, and every heart tied to it beat a little stronger. Because in Sweetwater, folks swore by an old saying, if the heat don't break you, it'll forge you. And Keisha, blistered hands and all, was fast becoming steel. Chapter 4, The Return of Jeremiah Brown. September slid into Sweetwater on cool, foggy paws, tinting the pecans bronze. Jeremiah's truck, an old blue F-150 held together by miracle and duct tape, rumbled up Main Street one Friday dawn. Folks on porches waved like he'd come back from war. Truth be told, he felt that way. Chemo had snatched half his strength and all his taste for sweet tea. But his eyes still flashed that brown lightning. He parked under the pecan tree, stepped out with his cane, and took a long breath that tasted of wood smoke and promise. Then he called his children home. One group text, 3 pecan emoji, and a clock set the countdown. Marcus showed first, squealing up in a rented Tesla he could barely afford by the hour. He hopped out sporting gold shades and a silk shirt loud enough to startle birds. "Dad, brace yourself," he bragged. "I've curated a lifestyle brand. Think Versace meets soul food." He handed Jeremiah a glossed brochure smelling of fresh ink and desperation. Next came Darnell in a Greyhound bus, dragging a dented suitcase with a flip-flop duct taped to the side. He hugged Jeremiah too long, like maybe Daddy's pockets would spill comfort. "Pop, I invested in memories," he said, voice scratchy from cheap rum. "Experience is capital, right?" Somewhere behind his grin, shame flicked like a busted hallway light. Keisha arrived on foot, jeans muddy to the knee, Jamal bouncing alongside with a basket of tomatoes heavier than his backpack. Caleb followed, driving the pickup, bed stacked with collared crates and sunflowers tall as 5th graders. When Keisha spotted Jeremiah leaning on his cane, she stumbled, heart slamming into 4th gear. She hadn't seen him since the doctor's verdict, and chemo had carved his cheekbones sharp as plow blades. Jeremiah gathered them on the porch. Squirrels skittered overhead, maybe eavesdropping. "Y'all ready to show what 50 grand can grow?" he asked. Marcus and Darnell swapped smug nods. Keisha stared at the cicada shell clinging to the banister, wishing nerves were that easy to shed. Marcus went first, firing up a PowerPoint on an iPad like Sunday school, but flashier. Slides popped with mock-ups of neon sneaker drops, influencer shout-outs, and a club called Brown Sugar Lounge. "We're talking generational wealth built on hype and heritage," he said, spinning corporate buzzwords until even Jeremiah's cane looked dizzy. Darnell's turn was rougher. He tried to paint Miami escapades as market research into luxury tourism, but every tale ended with bounce checks or an Uber he forgot to pay. Jeremiah listened, one eyebrow raised so high birds could perch there. Finally, he patted Darnell's shoulder. "Son, sounds like you invested in sunshine and it rained." Darnell's laugh cracked like thin ice. All eyes slid to Keisha. She swallowed, cheeks burning. I didn't make slides," she said. "Figured y'all could just come see." Marcus smirked loud enough for 2, but Jeremiah's smile crept in like dawn. Then lead the way, girl. They walked 4 blocks to Ebenezer Lot. Evening sunlight pooled gold across rows of kale, peppers, and okra. String lights blinked on, casting firefly halos. Kids raced between beds, Jamal hollering, "Harvest Day, baby!" Miss Loretta waved a wooden spoon like a conductor as Tasha laid out cornbread muffins. Marcus stopped mid-stride, mouth hanging open like a broken screen door. Darnell whispered, "Yo, is that our sister's doing?" Keisha guided Jeremiah down the mulch path. Neighbors pressed jars of pickles into his hands, thanking him for loaning out his daughter. Caleb shadowed close enough to catch Jeremiah if chemo legs failed, which earned him a grateful nod from the old man and a blush from Keisha brighter than those sunflowers. At the garden's heart, a chalkboard read, "Free food. Take what you need. Pay with a prayer." Jamal drew arrows pointing to crate after crate of produce. Children filled brown bags while elders blessed everything in sight. Jeremiah rubbed a collard leaf between thumb and forefinger, eyes welling like springs after drought. "Baby," he rasped, "you turned dust into dinner." Keisha tried to answer, but emotion hit harder than July heat. She managed a shaky joke. "Figured God had enough mana duties already." Jeremiah barked a laugh that rattled pecan branches. Marcus cleared his throat, jealousy swirling with awe. "Yeah, Dad, it's cute, but where's the money?" Before Keisha could answer, Miss Loretta popped up, wagging her spoon. "Son, you ever priced hope? It'll bankrupt your little calculator." Laughter rolled across the beds. Darnell actually cracked a smile, something honest for the first time all summer. The sun dipped, setting the sky on fire. Jeremiah felt the night breeze whisper through pecan leaves, carrying a promise the tree had known all along. Truth was about to shake loose. He straightened stronger than he'd felt in months and tapped his cane twice on the dirt. "Tomorrow," he said, voice clear as creek water, "we'll talk about keys and kingdoms. Tonight, let's eat." As twilight settled, lanterns flickered on and the garden became a living church. No walls, just sky and gratitude. Somewhere between Caleb's bashful grin and Marcus's humbled silence, Keisha looked up at the stars and felt her grandmother's prayer echo back. "Lord, make dry bones dance." Seems he already had the band warming up. Chapter 5, The Keys to True Wealth. Dawn slipped pink over Sweetwater, mist curling around the pecan tree like a shy hug. Jeremiah set a card table in the yard, laid 3 wooden boxes on top, and rang an old dinner bell that made the whole street remember Sunday suppers. Marcus and Darnell dragged themselves out first, hair wild, egos tender. Keisha followed with Caleb at her elbow and Jamal perched on a bike, eager as a rooster. Jeremiah cleared his throat. Inside each box is a different door, only one leads home. He opened the first, a fat envelope of cash, more than the original 50 grand. Gold edges winked at Marcus. The second held a glossy deed to prime downtown land, zoning already approved for luxury condos. Darnell nearly drooled. The third box contained a single rusty key on frayed ribbon. It looked about as valuable as lint. Jeremiah leaned on his cane. "Pick a box. Show me what you learned." Marcus lunged for the envelope, fingers itching like lottery night. "Money talks, Dad. I'll make it shout." He pumped the air, already planning another launch party. Jeremiah simply closed the lid. Darnell snagged the deed, waving it like a church fan. "Gimme brick and mortar, Pops. I'm building legacy towers." Jeremiah nodded, face unreadable. Keisha stared at the lonely key. Her garden-dirty nails hovered. Caleb whispered, Whole world's in that little piece of metal if you see it right. She exhaled, picked it up and felt warmth pulse through the cold iron. Jeremiah clapped once, the sound cracking morning stillness. Now follow me. He shuffled toward the garden path. The siblings trailed, tension thick as biscuit dough. Marcus muttered, "If this ends in goat yoga, I'm out." They reached the garden gate. Jeremiah stopped before a small shed freshly painted sunflower yellow. A new padlock gleamed. "Only one key fits," he said. Marcus jammed cashbox key into the lock, no bite. Darnell tried the deed key, nothing but metal grind. Keisha slid her rusty key home. It turned with a soft click like a secret deciding to speak. Inside, sunlight spilled onto stacked paperwork. The farm's master deed, water rights, tractor titles, everything Jeremiah owned, down to the dog's vet record. On top lay a letter in his shaky handwriting. Keisha read aloud, voice trembling. "Real wealth feeds more than mouths. It feeds futures. Whoever chooses others over self will keep these lands." Tears blurred the ink. She blinked them clear, saw her brother's shoulders sag. Jeremiah's breath rattled, but his grin was bright enough to light the shed. "Boys, y'all chase shine and shadows. She chased seeds and storms." Marcus swallowed pride like sour lemonade. "Sis, I was foolish." Darnell rubbed his neck. "Yeah, can we help? I'm tired of empty flexing." Keisha's laugh broke like a dam. "Hope y'all don't mind dirt under your nails," Jamal whooped, already imagining Marcus in overalls. Jeremiah pressed the ribboned key into Keisha's palm, then surprised Caleb by handing him the ribbon's tail. "Strong roots need strong branches," he whispered. Caleb's ears turned crimson. Keisha felt fireflies swirl in her belly. Back under the pecan tree, neighbors gathered as word spread. Pots clanged, kids danced. Miss Loretta belted a hymn so loud heaven probably filed a noise complaint. Jeremiah raised a mason jar of sweet tea he could barely taste. "To wealth that can't be stolen because it lives in the giving." A breeze shook the pecan leaves, raining a few nuts onto laughing heads. Folks swore later the tree was clapping, and somewhere between Marcus learning to weed, Darnell jotting grocery lists for food bank deliveries, and Keisha stealing a mud-splattered kiss from Caleb behind the collards, Sweetwater realized a new legend had sprouted. Moral if you're hunting one: money grows tall but hollow. Kindness sinks deep and bears fruit long after the bragging fades. So plant what feeds souls, and the keys to every good thing will jingle right into your hand.